I had always been an adventurer and never shied away from a challenge or excitement. So when my friends dared me to drive alone along a deserted stretch of highway, I accepted without hesitation. It was a moonless night, and the only light came from my car's dim headlights, which seemed to cut through the darkness like a fragile lifeline. The trees on either side of the road loomed like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out to touch my car as I sped along the narrow, winding path. The wind whispered through the trees, making eerie, ghostly noises that sent shivers up my spine as I drove deeper into the heart of the road. The road twisted and turned with no apparent end in sight, with no sign of civilization. I couldn't help but wonder why this place had such a bad reputation among the locals. The stories I had heard were full of warnings, tales of travelers who had traveled this route and never returned. Suddenly, the radio began to blare a distorted sound after being silent the entire trip. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to comprehend. The voice was barely audible, but distinct enough to send shivers down my spine. I gripped the steering wheel tighter and pressed my foot harder on the accelerator, determined to prove I wasn't afraid of some ghost story. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and my nerves were on edge. Shadows danced at the edge of my vision, and an eerie shape began to appear across the road ahead. I couldn't tell if it was real or imaginary. As I rounded a sharp bend, the headlights illuminated something that made my blood run cold. A pale, ghostly figure stood in the middle of the road. It was a young girl. Her long, wet hair stuck to her face. She stared at me with hollow, empty eyes. I felt a deep sense of dread wash over me. I'd heard stories of a ghostly intruder stalking this road, a tragic spirit looking for a way to get her to her final destination. I summoned every ounce of courage I had and asked, "Are you okay?" But I quickly realized that coming here had been a mistake. I desperately wanted to get out of here as fast as possible, and suddenly the radio started cutting out again. I thought to myself, I guess I only have 1 mile left, and then it will be over. I will never come back here again. What a stupid radio. Why doesn't it just go off like so many others who took a wrong turn and got lost on this deserted road? Unfortunately, I never came back, and no one will ever know what happened to me.